Vextar Morthus pressed his scaled fingers against the viewing port of the space station. Stars stretched endlessly before him, but today they brought a new species to meet the Galactic Council for the first time. Humans. He had read their files 3 times. Nothing impressive. No natural weapons, no thick skin, no special abilities. Just another weak species hoping to join the galaxy's civilized worlds. The docking bay doors opened with a soft hiss. Vexatar watched as a small shuttle entered the station. It looked simple, almost primitive compared to the sleek ships of other council members. The metal hull showed scratches and wear marks. These humans clearly did not care much about appearances. Observer Morthus called Administrator Velkth from behind him. The tall, crystal-like being moved with musical steps across the metal floor. The human delegation has arrived. Council members are gathering in Meeting Hall 7. Vextar nodded and followed Velkth through the station's corridors. Other species moved past them. The insect-like Thekmar clicked their mandibles as they walked. The gas-breathing Zephyrians floated in their environmental suits. The massive Kroger stomped by on 4 legs. All of these species had earned their place through strength, technology, or useful resources. What could humans possibly offer? Meeting Hall 7 buzzed with quiet conversation when they entered. Representatives from 12 different worlds sat around the curved table. Vextar took his position at the observer station, activated his recording device, and waited. The doors opened again. 3 humans entered the room. The first human was tall and thin, wearing a simple dark suit. His black hair was neatly cut and his eyes moved carefully around the room, studying each delegate. Behind him walked a smaller human with long dark hair tied back. She carried a data tablet and several thick folders. The third human was broader, with short hair and alert eyes that seemed to see everything at once. "Honored council members," the first human said, bowing slightly. "I am Ambassador Yunki of Earth. This is my aide Somin and our military liaison Taiho. We are grateful for this opportunity to meet with you." His voice was calm and clear. Vextar made a note about human speech patterns. They seemed to communicate with simple directness, unlike the flowery language most species used in formal meetings. "Welcome," said Council Leader Thekfor, his insect head tilting to one side. "We have reviewed your species' basic information. Tell us why humanity deserves a place among the civilized worlds." Yunki stepped forward. "We do not claim to deserve anything, Honored Thekfor. We simply hope to contribute what we can and learn from your wisdom." This answer surprised several council members. Most species arrived making bold claims about their superior technology or ancient cultures. Humans seemed almost humble. "What can your species offer?" asked Representative Gordak, her massive Krogar frame leaning forward. "We see no advanced weapons, no unique resources, no special abilities." Somin moved to a display screen at the room's center. With quick fingers, she began showing mathematical equations and star charts. "We offer our perspective," she said quietly. "Our species has spent centuries studying patterns in mathematics, physics, and strategy. Perhaps these insights might prove useful." The equations she displayed made several delegates lean forward with interest. Dr. Yelthari of the Crystal Volanti examined the formulas with glowing eyes. "Fascinating. This approach to quantum mechanics is quite different from our methods. We have also mapped efficient trade routes through this sector," Somin continued, bringing up navigation charts. "Our ships may be simple, but our pilots have found ways to reduce travel time by 15% on average." Representative Zekmoth of the gas-breathing Zephyrians floated closer to the screen. "How did you discover these routes?" "Trial and error," Hyunki answered. "Humans are persistent. When a path does not work, we try another, and another. We do not give up easily." Throughout the presentation, Taiho remained silent. He stood straight, hands behind his back, watching everything. Vextar noticed that the human's eyes never stopped moving. They tracked each delegate's movements, noted the positions of security guards, and studied the room's exits. This human was constantly alert, like a soldier expecting trouble. "Your mathematics show promise," admitted Dr. Yelthari. "But what of your military capabilities? How do you defend yourselves?" Taiho spoke for the first time. "We defend what matters to us." His voice was quiet but firm. "Our methods may seem simple, but they work." "Simple methods?" Gordak's laugh sounded like grinding rocks. "You have no energy shields, no plasma weapons, no powered armor. How do you fight wars?" "With planning," Taiho replied. "And determination." The Krogar delegate laughed again. But Vextar noticed that some other representatives looked thoughtful. Something in the humans' tone suggested there was more to their military than met the eye. The meeting continued for 3 hours. Humans answered every question patiently and thoroughly. They shared star charts, trade proposals, and cultural information. So-Min demonstrated human art and music, while Hyun-Ki discussed their philosophy and history. What struck Vextar most was their honesty. When asked about their weaknesses, humans admitted them freely. They acknowledged their short lifespans, their physical limitations, and their lack of advanced technology. But they spoke of these things without shame, as simple facts to work around. "We learn from our mistakes," Hyun-Ki explained when asked about human failures. "Every error teaches us something new. Every defeat shows us how to win next time." As the meeting ended, Council Leader Thekfor consulted with the other delegates. Whispered conversations filled the room in a dozen different languages. Finally, the insect leader clicked his mandibles for attention. "The Council grants humanity provisional membership status," he announced. "You may establish one colony world in Council space and begin limited trade agreements. We will review your progress in 1 year." Hyun-Ki bowed again. "We are honored by your trust. Humanity will work hard to prove worthy of it." The 3 humans left as quietly as they had arrived. Vextar watched them go, then began typing his official report. "Human delegation appears competent but unremarkable," he wrote. "Species shows basic intelligence and persistence. Recommends standard integration protocols for minor technological contributors. Threat level minimal." He paused, thinking about Taiho's watchful eyes and So-Min's quick mind. Something nagged at him, but he could not identify what. "Additional notes," he continued typing. "Humans demonstrate unusual patience and willingness to admit weaknesses. This may indicate either genuine humility or strategic thinking. Monitor closely during probationary period." As he finished his report, Vextar looked out at the stars again. Somewhere out there, humans were preparing to build their first colony in Council space. He wondered what kind of neighbors they would make. Only time would tell. 3 months after the first meeting, Vextar's transport ship dropped out of hyperspace near a dusty orange planet. New Busan, the humans called it, their first colony world in Council space. The planet looked harsh and unwelcoming from orbit. Dry mountains stretched across most continents, broken by deep valleys and scattered seas. Why humans had chosen such a difficult world puzzled him. The shuttle ride to the surface was bumpy. The thin atmosphere made landing tricky, and dust storms raged across the northern continent. Vextar gripped his seat as the pilot fought wind currents to reach the colony's main settlement. "Welcome to New Busan," said a voice over the comm system as they touched down. "Observer Morthus, we have been expecting you." A human waited outside the landing pad. He was older than the delegates Vextar had met before, with gray streaks in his black hair and weathered hands. His clothes were practical work gear, not the formal suits from the diplomatic meeting. "I am Jinwoo, Colonial Administrator," the human said, extending his hand in the human greeting gesture. "Thank you for visiting our small world." Vexatar shook the offered hand, noting the firm grip and calloused skin. This human worked with his hands. "Observer Morthus of the Kelthari Confederation. I'm here to assess your colony's progress." Jinwoo smiled. "Come, let me show you what we have built." They climbed into a ground vehicle that looked simple but sturdy. As they drove through the settlement, Vextar was surprised by what he saw. The buildings were not fancy, but they were solid and well-designed. Solar panels covered most roofs. Wind generators turned slowly on tall towers. Gardens grew in protected areas between structures. "How many humans live here?" Vextar asked. 50,000 now, Jinwoo replied. "We started with 5,000 6 months ago. More families arrive each week." 50,000? Vextar's eyes widened. "That is very fast growth for such a harsh world." Jinwoo nodded toward the mountains. "This planet tests us every day, but humans like challenges. The harder something is, the more determined we become to make it work." They stopped at a large building near the settlement center. Inside, Vextar met Haewon, the chief engineer. She was a small woman with bright eyes and grease-stained hands. Her hair was tied back with what looked like spare wire. "Observer Morthus wants to see our water systems," Jinwoo told her. Haewon's face lit up. "Perfect. Come, I will show you something amazing." She led them through underground tunnels carved from solid rock. Water flowed in channels along the tunnel walls, creating a steady sound like rainfall. "The nearest surface water is 200 kilometers away," Haewon explained. So we dug down to find underground rivers. Vextar examined the tunnel walls. The work was precise and careful. This must have taken months to complete. 4 months, Haywan said proudly. We worked in 3 shifts around the clock. Humans do not sleep much when there is important work to be done. They emerged from the tunnels near fields of growing crops. The plants looked healthy despite the planet's difficult conditions. Irrigation pipes carried water in careful patterns across the farmland. Workers moved between the rows, tending their crops with obvious care. Your people seem very dedicated, Vextar observed. Survival requires dedication, Jinwoo replied simply. If we do not work together, we do not eat. Their next stop was the medical center, a clean white building filled with the latest human medical technology. Dr. Young-soo, a calm man with gentle hands, showed Vexitar through the facility. We treat about 200 patients each week, Young-soo explained as they walked past busy treatment rooms. Mining accidents, animal attacks, equipment failures, disease. Life here is dangerous. Animal attacks? Vextar asked with concern. Young-soo nodded toward a window overlooking the mountain foothills. The local creatures are not friendly, 6-legged predators with very sharp teeth. They hunt in packs and fear nothing. How do you protect yourselves? We learn their behavior patterns, Young-soo said. We study when they hunt, where they live, how they communicate. Then we avoid them when possible and defend ourselves when necessary. In the medical center's emergency room, Vextar saw 3 patients recovering from recent animal attacks. All had serious injuries, but none seemed particularly upset about their situation. One patient even joked with the medical staff while they changed his bandages. Your people are very calm about danger, Vextar noted. Worrying does not help heal wounds, Young-soo replied. We fix what we can fix and adapt to what we cannot change. Later, they visited the security center where Mira, the chief of security, demonstrated human defensive techniques. She was a compact woman with quick movements and alert eyes. Her uniform was simple but well-maintained. Our weapons are basic, Mira admitted, showing Vextar their armory. Projectile rifles, explosive devices, some energy weapons we bought from council traders. Nothing impressive by galactic standards. Vextar examined a human rifle. It was indeed primitive compared to the plasma weapons used by most council species. How effective are these against dangerous creatures? Mira smiled. Effectiveness depends more on the person holding the weapon than the weapon itself. A well-aimed shot from a simple rifle can stop any creature if you know where to aim. She led him to the training area, where security personnel practiced combat drills. Vextar watched them move through complex exercises, their movements coordinated and precise. They worked together like parts of a single machine. Your training is very thorough, he observed. We practice every day, Mira said. Muscle memory saves lives when there is no time to think. During the combat demonstration, Vextar noticed something interesting. Human tactics focused on teamwork and positioning, rather than individual strength. They used the environment to their advantage, created overlapping fields of fire, and communicated constantly during action. We are not the strongest or fastest species, Mira explained when he asked about their methods. So we rely on planning and cooperation. A pack of humans working together can defeat much stronger enemies. That evening, Jinwoo invited Vextar to dinner with several colonial families. They gathered in a large dining hall filled with the sounds of conversation and laughter. Children ran between tables while adults shared stories of their day's work. The food was simple but well prepared. Vegetables from their own farms, meat from livestock they had brought from Earth, bread baked in their own ovens. Everything tasted of home and community. Why did your people choose such a difficult world? Vextar asked Jinwoo as they ate. Jinwoo considered the question carefully. Easy worlds make soft people, he said finally. Difficult worlds make us stronger. Every challenge we overcome teaches us something new about ourselves. A young girl at a nearby table ran up to their group, her face excited. Uncle Jinwoo, the new mining equipment found something shiny in the deep tunnels. Jinwoo smiled and patted her head. Tomorrow we will see what treasures the mountain has hidden for us, little one. As the evening ended, Vextar walked through the settlement's quiet streets. Security patrols moved like shadows between buildings. Night workers headed to their shifts in the mines and factories. The colony never truly slept. Your people are remarkable, he told Jinwoo as they reached his guest quarters. We are just humans, Jinwoo replied. We do what we must to survive and prosper. Many species would have abandoned this world after the first month. Jinwoo looked up at the alien stars shining through the thin atmosphere. Humans do not abandon things easily. When we commit to something, we see it through to the end. That night, Vextar wrote his second report about humanity. Human colony shows unexpected success on marginal world, he typed. Population growth steady. Infrastructure development impressive. Species demonstrates remarkable persistence and adaptability. Recommend continued monitoring. Note: humans appear to thrive on challenges that would defeat other species. He paused, thinking about Mira's training exercises and Youngsu's calm patience. Additional observation: human response to danger is notably calm and practical. They study threats carefully and develop systematic solutions. This trait may prove significant in future interactions. Outside his window, the sounds of human industry continued through the night. 6 months passed quietly after Vextar's visit to New Busan. Human trade ships moved regularly through Council space, carrying minerals and manufactured goods. Their colony reports showed steady growth and development. Everything seemed normal until the emergency signal reached the Council chambers. "Attack on New Busan confirmed," announced Council leader Thek Vor, his insect voice tight with disbelief. "Velanti forces have occupied the human colony." Vextar felt his scales shift color with shock. The Velanti were one of the Council's most respected members. Their crystal cities were centers of art and learning. They had not fought a war in over 3 centuries. Why would they attack a peaceful human settlement? "What justification do the Velanti give?" asked Representative Gordak. Dr. Yelthari of the Velanti delegation stood gracefully, his crystal body gleaming under the chamber lights. "We discovered evidence of illegal weapons development on New Busan. The humans were violating Council treaties by building military technology without authorization." "What evidence?" Vextar demanded from his observer station. Yelthari's glowing eyes turned toward him. "Classified military intelligence. We cannot share details that might compromise Council security." The other delegates murmured among themselves. Illegal weapons development was a serious charge. But something felt wrong to Vextar. He had spent days on New Busan and seen no signs of secret military projects. "I request permission to investigate the situation personally," Vextar said. Thekvor clicked his mandibles thoughtfully. "Granted. Take a medical relief ship and assess the situation. We need an independent report." The journey to New Busan took 3 days. Vextar's ship arrived to find the planet surrounded by Velanti crystal warships. Their vessels were beautiful but deadly, like floating prisms that could focus starlight into devastating energy beams. "This is Observer Morthus on official Council business," he transmitted to the Velanti fleet. "I request permission to land and assess civilian casualties." "Permission granted," came the cold reply. "You may visit the surface for 6 hours. Council escort required." The shuttle descended through smoke-filled skies. Where once Vextar had seen a thriving settlement, now only ruins remained. Buildings had been shattered by crystal energy weapons. The mining equipment lay twisted and melted. The carefully tended gardens were nothing but ash. Velanti soldiers in gleaming armor directed him to a temporary shelter near the old medical center. Inside, he found the survivors. 12,000 humans sat in silent groups on the shelter floor. Their faces showed grief, shock, and barely controlled anger. Children clung to their parents. Adults stared at nothing with empty eyes. "Observer Morthus," said a familiar voice. Vextar turned to see Haewon, the chief engineer he had met months before. Her bright eyes were now dull with loss. Her hands, once busy with tools and projects, hung limp at her sides. "Haewon," he said gently, "I am sorry for what has happened here." She nodded slowly. "They came without warning. 12 ships appeared in orbit and began firing immediately. We had no chance to surrender or negotiate." "Where is Jinwoo?" Vextar asked. Haewon's face crumpled. "Gone. He was in the administration building when it was hit, along with most of the colonial leadership." Vextar felt sick. Jinwoo had been a good man, dedicated to his people and his work. "How many others?" 38,000 dead, whispered Dr. Youngsu from nearby. The calm doctor looked broken, his gentle hands shaking as he spoke. "Most died in the first hour of bombing. We managed to get 12,000 into the deep shelters before the surface became uninhabitable." Mira approached their group, moving like a woman in a nightmare. The security chief's alert eyes were now filled with cold rage. They targeted civilians first, she said quietly. Schools, homes, hospitals. This was not a military operation. It was murder. The Valanti claim you were developing illegal weapons, Vextar said carefully. Mira's laugh was bitter. We had mining equipment and basic security weapons. Nothing that could threaten a crystal warship. They know this. Everyone knows this. Then why? Vextar asked. Youngsu pointed toward the ruined mining complex. We found something in the deep tunnels last month. Rare crystals that can store and amplify energy, the kind the Valanti use in their most advanced technology. The children were so excited, Haywan added with tears in her eyes. They thought the crystals were pretty. Just shiny rocks to them. Vextar understood immediately. The Valanti had not attacked because of weapons. They had attacked for resources. The illegal weapons story was just an excuse to steal what the humans had found. Over the next few hours, he interviewed dozens of survivors. Their stories were all the same. Surprise attack, overwhelming firepower, systematic destruction of everything humans had built. No warnings, no negotiations, no mercy. What will happen to us now? Asked a young mother holding her infant son. You will be returned to human space, Vextar told her. The council will ensure your safe passage. But he knew that was small comfort to people who had lost everything. 3 days later, Vextar attended the emergency council session called to address the new Busan situation. The chamber was tense as delegates took their positions. The investigation confirms Valanti claims, announced Thekvor. Evidence of weapons development was found in the human settlement. Vextar stood abruptly. That is false. I found no such evidence. The humans were mining rare crystals, not building weapons. Crystals that could be used for weapons, Dr. Yelthari responded smoothly. The potential for abuse was clear. Potential is not actual development, Vextar protested. You destroyed a peaceful colony for resources, then invented an excuse. The chamber erupted in angry voices. Some delegates supported Vextar's position. Others backed the Valanti claims. Arguments flew in a dozen languages. Finally, Thekvor called for order. The council finds that while Valanti methods were extreme, their concerns about human weapons development were justified. We impose economic sanctions and formal censure. The Valanti will pay reparations to surviving humans and return them to their home territory. Vextar could not believe what he was hearing. Economic sanctions? For the murder of 38,000 innocent people? The matter is closed, Thekvor declared firmly. That evening, Vextar met with the human diplomatic team that had arrived to collect their people. Ambassador Hyun-Ki looked older than before, his face carved from stone. So-min worked quietly at her data tablet, her fingers moving with mechanical precision. Taeho stood guard, his eyes holding a coldness that made Vextar shiver. I'm sorry, Vextar told them. I tried to get justice for your people. Hyun-Ki nodded slowly. We appreciate your efforts, Observer Morthus. You have been a friend to humanity. What will you do now? Take our people home, Hyun-Ki replied. Help them heal. Learn from what happened here. Something in his tone worried Vextar. What kind of learning? So-min looked up from her tablet. We are requesting complete tactical analysis of the attack. Weapon specifications, fleet movements, targeting patterns, everything. Why? Vextar asked, though he feared he already knew. Taeho spoke for the first time. So it never happens again. The simple words carried a promise that made Vextar's blood run cold. He watched the 3 humans work with quiet efficiency to prepare for their people's evacuation. They showed no panic, no wild anger, no desperate grief, just calm, focused determination. As the human survivors were loaded onto transport ships, Vextar noticed how they looked at their leaders. These broken, traumatized people still trusted Hyun-Ki, So-min, and Taeho completely. They believed their leaders would somehow make things right. Remember us, Observer Morthus, Mira said as she boarded the last transport. Remember what you saw here. I will, he promised. The human ships disappeared into hyperspace, carrying their wounded people back to Earth. Vextar stood alone on the landing platform, looking out at the ruins of New Busan. Somewhere, in those ruins lay the bodies of 38,000 humans who had done nothing wrong except find some pretty crystals in a deep tunnel. He thought about Hyun-Ki's stone face and So-min's mechanical efficiency. Most of all, he thought about Taeho's cold promise that this would never happen again. For the first time since meeting humanity, Vextar felt afraid. 2 years passed after the destruction of New Busan. The galactic community gradually forgot about the human tragedy. Trade continued, council meetings proceeded as normal, and life went on. But Vextar noticed something troubling. Humanity had gone silent. Human diplomatic communications became brief and formal. Their trade representatives spoke only about business, nothing personal. The warm, friendly humans he had first met seemed to have disappeared, replaced by polite but distant professionals. When Vextar requested permission to visit human space as part of a routine trade inspection, the response came quickly. Permission granted. Standard protocols will apply. The journey to the Sol system took him past 3 other human colonies, all established after New Busan. From his ship's sensors, they appeared to be thriving settlements with growing populations and expanding infrastructure. But the humans declined his request to visit, citing internal security measures. Earth's orbital stations looked different than before. More ships moved between platforms. Construction projects created new structures in space. When Vextar asked about the increased activity, his escort simply said, "Economic expansion." Admiral Dong-hyun met him at the main military station. The human officer was older than the diplomats Vextar knew, with gray hair and scarred hands that spoke of long service. His uniform was simple but well-maintained. "Welcome to our home system, Observer Morthus," Dong-hyun said with a polite smile that did not reach his eyes. "I understand you wish to inspect our defensive capabilities." "Routine trade security assessment," Vextar replied. "Nothing formal, of course. Come, let me show you our modest improvements." They toured the human fleet, starting with older ships Vextar had seen before. The vessels looked similar from the outside, but something felt different. The crews moved with precision that seemed almost mechanical. Every action was efficient, purposeful, coordinated. "Your people seem very well trained," Vextar observed. "We have been practicing," Dong-hyun replied. "The galaxy is a dangerous place. Recent events have reminded us of this fact." They entered the bridge of a human cruiser. The command center buzzed with quiet activity as officers monitored displays and managed ship systems. Vextar noticed that many of the screens showed detailed star charts with marked positions and movement patterns. "Very thorough navigation data," he commented. "We like to know where our neighbors are," said Commander Eunjung, the ship's captain. She was a small woman with quick eyes and steady hands. Situational awareness prevents misunderstandings. When Vextar looked closer at the displays, he realized the chart showed real-time positions of Velantai ships throughout Council space. The level of detail was remarkable, tracking individual vessels and their courses with mathematical precision. "How do you gather such accurate information?" he asked. "We have many friends throughout the galaxy," Eunjung replied with a thin smile. "People who understand the value of information sharing." Their next stop was a training facility on Earth's moon. Commander Eunjung showed him through simulation chambers where human soldiers practiced combat scenarios. The exercises were incredibly detailed, featuring perfect recreations of various alien ship designs and tactics. Impressive training programs, Vextar noted as he watched humans fight holographic enemies. "We study potential threats carefully," Eunjung explained. "Knowledge is the best defense against future attacks." The simulations included detailed models of Velantai crystal ships, their weapon systems, and tactical doctrines. Human soldiers moved through scenarios where they boarded enemy vessels, disabled their systems, and captured key targets. The level of planning was extraordinary. "These scenarios are very specific," Vextar said carefully. "We learn from experience," Eunjung replied. "Past mistakes teach us how to handle future challenges." At the Medical Research Center, Dr. Kyung-ho demonstrated advances in human medical technology. The improvements were remarkable, especially in trauma surgery and psychological rehabilitation. Equipment that could heal severe injuries in hours instead of days. Techniques for helping minds recover from extreme stress and loss. "Your medical capabilities have improved dramatically," Vextar observed. "We have had many patients to practice on," Kyung-ho said quietly. "The survivors of New Busan required extensive care. Their needs drove us to develop better methods." The doctor showed him psychological treatment programs designed to help people function after witnessing terrible violence. Techniques for managing grief, anger, and the desire for revenge. Methods for channeling negative emotions into productive action. "These treatments seem very advanced," Vextar said. Pain is a powerful teacher, Kyung-ho replied. We have learned to transform suffering into strength. Later, Yuna, the chief intelligence officer, briefed him on human early warning systems. She was a quiet woman with sharp eyes and careful speech. Her office was filled with displays showing information from across council space. We monitor communication networks for potential threats, she explained, as data streams flowed across her screens. Prevention is better than reaction. Vextar was amazed by the scope of their intelligence gathering. Humans seemed to know about ship movements, political discussions, and economic activities throughout the galaxy. Their network of informants was vast and efficient. How do you process so much information? He asked. We have developed new analysis techniques, Yuna said. Patterns emerge when you have enough data points. Threats become visible before they fully develop. One display caught his attention. It showed detailed profiles of Velanti government officials, military commanders, and industrial leaders. Personal information, family connections, financial records, daily routines. The humans knew everything about their former attackers. This level of surveillance is remarkable, Vextar said. Knowledge protects our people, Yuna replied simply. We will never again be caught unprepared. That evening, Vextar dined with Admiral Dong-hyun in the officers' private quarters. The food was simple but well prepared. Their conversation was polite but carefully controlled. Your people have changed since New Busan, Vextar said finally. Dong-hyun set down his cup and studied the alien observer. Yes, we have learned important lessons. What kind of lessons? That the galaxy is not as civilized as we hoped. That justice does not always prevail. That we must be strong enough to protect ourselves and our children. Vextar felt uncomfortable with the humans' intense gaze. The Council tries to maintain peace between all species. The Council failed our people, Dong-hyun said quietly. 38,000 innocent humans died, and the murderers received economic sanctions. This taught us that we can rely only on ourselves. What will you do with this knowledge? Dong-hyun was silent for a long moment. We will ensure that no one ever again mistakes human patience for weakness. The next morning, Vextar prepared to leave the Sol system. As his ship powered up for departure, he thought about everything he had seen. Human military training focused on specific enemies. Their medical advances prepared them for mass casualties. Their intelligence networks watched everyone, especially the Velanti. Most disturbing was the change in human behavior. The friendly, open people he had first met were gone. In their place were calm, focused individuals who spoke carefully and revealed nothing important. They were polite but distant, helpful but secretive. Safe travels, Observer Morthus, Admiral Dong-hyun said over the communication channel. Thank you for visiting our home. Thank you for your hospitality, Vextar replied. I hope our species can continue to work together peacefully. As do we, Dong-hyun said. Peace is always preferable to the alternatives. As his ship jumped to hyperspace, Vextar wrote his report on human activities. Humans show significant military and technological development, he typed. Training programs, medical advances, and intelligence capabilities have improved dramatically. Population appears unified and focused on security concerns. He paused, thinking about Yuna's surveillance data and Yoon-jung's combat simulations. Assessment. Humans are preparing for something. Unknown if preparations are defensive or offensive in nature. Recommend increased monitoring of human activities. Note: human behavior patterns suggest deep psychological changes following New Busan incident. He hesitated before adding his final observation. Personal opinion. Humanity is no longer the weak, friendly species we first encountered. They have become something else. Something patient and calculating. I fear we may have awakened something we do not understand. Vextar sent the report to Council archives but doubted anyone would pay attention. The galaxy had moved on from New Busan. Only he seemed to remember the lesson Jinwoo had taught him about human persistence. Humans do not abandon things easily. When we commit to something, we see it through to the end. Now Vextar wondered what exactly humanity had committed to during their 2 years of silence. The attack came on a Tuesday morning, Galactic Standard Time. Vextar was reviewing trade reports in his office when the emergency broadcast began flooding Council communication networks. Multiple human colonies under attack, announced the automated systems. Velanti forces engaging human settlements in sectors 7, 12, and 15. Vextar dropped his datapad and rushed to the council chambers. Representatives were arriving in panic, their voices creating a storm of confusion in dozens of languages. Council leader Thekfor called for order as information poured in from across the galaxy. 3 simultaneous attacks, reported the intelligence officer. Velanti fleet struck at New Seoul, New Tokyo, and New Busan Memorial Colony. They appear to be using the same tactics that succeeded 2 years ago. Dr. Yelthari stood gracefully among the Velanti delegation, his crystal form gleaming with satisfaction. These new human settlements were showing signs of military buildup. We acted to prevent another weapons development situation. Vextar felt sick. The Velanti were using the same false excuse again, confident that their crystal warships would easily crush human resistance just like before. How long until human forces can respond? Asked Representative Gordak. Human space is days away from the attack sites, the intelligence officer replied. By the time their ships arrive, the operation will be complete. But something was wrong with the incoming reports. The battle data did not match what anyone expected. Wait, said the communications officer, pressing his headset closer to his ear. I am receiving new transmissions from the attack sites. The battles are still ongoing. Still ongoing? Thekfor clicked his mandibles in confusion. How long have the attacks been proceeding? Approximately 4 hours, Council Leader. The chamber fell silent. 4 hours was far too long. The Velanti had destroyed New Busan in less than 60 minutes. Their crystal ships should have overwhelmed human defenses quickly and efficiently. More reports arrived over the next hour, each one more confusing than the last. Velanti. Second Fleet reports heavy resistance at New Seoul. They are requesting reinforcements. Velanti. Third Fleet has lost contact with their command ship near New Tokyo. Strange. Energy signatures detected throughout the battle zones. Weapons systems appeared to be malfunctioning. Dr. Yelthari's confident expression began to fade. There must be some mistake. Human defensive capabilities are minimal. Then came the transmission that changed everything. This is Admiral Dong-hyun of the Human Defense Fleet, said a calm voice over the main communication channel. We demand the immediate surrender of all Velanti forces in human territory. Shocked silence filled the council chamber. No one had detected human ships approaching the battle zones. How could Admiral Dong-hyun be broadcasting from the attack sites? Admiral Dong-hyun, Thekfor responded quickly. This is Council Leader Thekfor. What is your current tactical situation? Velanti resistance is crumbling, came the reply. Their crystal ships are powerful but predictable. We have been studying their weaknesses for 2 years. On the main display screen, tactical data began appearing. Ship positions, energy readings, battle damage assessments. What Vextar saw made no sense. Human ships had appeared throughout the 3 battle zones as if from nowhere. They moved in perfect coordination, their weapons striking with surgical precision at specific points on Velanti crystal ships. Where before the humans had seemed helpless against advanced energy shields, now they cut through Velanti defenses like they were made of paper. How is this possible? Dr. Yelthari demanded. Our ships are technologically superior. Technology means nothing without understanding, Admiral Dong-hyun replied. We spent 2 years learning everything about your crystal technology, your ship's strengths, their weaknesses, how they function, how they fail. More battle reports flooded in. Velanti ships were being systematically disabled and captured. Their crystal hulls, once thought nearly indestructible, cracked under precisely targeted human weapons. Their energy systems, so efficient and powerful, overloaded when specific frequencies disrupted their harmonic resonance. This is Commander Yoon Jung reporting from New Tokyo Sector, came another transmission. Velanti Third Fleet has been neutralized. We are beginning boarding operations. Vextar watched in amazement as human marines stormed Velanti ships. The humans moved like they had practiced these exact operations hundreds of times. They knew the layout of every Velanti vessel, the location of every critical system, the position of every defensive post. How do they know our ship design so well? Dr. Yelthari whispered. As if hearing the question, a new voice joined the communication channel. This is Intelligence Coordinator Somin. We know your ship designs because we have been watching you for 2 years. Every vessel, every crew, every tactical doctrine. We know exactly how you think and fight. The main display showed detailed intelligence profiles appearing for every Velanti ship in the battle zones. Crew manifests, maintenance records, weapon capabilities, command structures. The humans had complete information about their enemies. But the tactical victories were only the beginning. Reports started coming in from across Valenti space. Supply convoys disappearing without trace, communication networks failing mysteriously, government officials vanishing from their offices, industrial facilities shutting down due to sabotage. What is happening to our territory? Dr. Yelthari demanded. Strategic coordination, replied a new voice. This is UNA, Human Intelligence Services. While your fleets attacked our colonies, our operatives activated throughout your space. 2 years of preparation, 2 years of positioning assets, 2 years of planning for this exact moment. Vextar realized with growing horror that the humans had not just been preparing to defend themselves. They had been preparing to destroy their enemies completely and systematically. The attacks on human colonies had been triggers, not targets. The moment Valenti ships fired their first shots, they had activated a vast human operation that had been 2 years in the making. Council Leader Thekvor, came Admiral Donghyun's voice again. We are prepared to discuss terms for Valenti surrender. Surrender. Dr. Yelthari's crystal form flickered with panic. We have hundreds of ships, thousands of star systems. You cannot defeat an entire civilization. Dr. Yelthari, Admiral Donghyun replied with frightening calm. In the past 6 hours, 70% of your military fleet has been destroyed or captured. Your government command structure has been eliminated. Your industrial capacity has been crippled. Your civilization as an organized political entity no longer exists. The tactical displays confirmed this impossible claim. Across Valenti space, the systematic destruction of an empire was proceeding with mathematical precision. Human forces struck at exactly the right targets in exactly the right sequence to cause maximum disruption, with minimal waste. This is General Wu Jin reporting from Valenti Prime, came another transmission. We have secured the planetary capital. Civilian population centers are under protection. Government and military facilities have been neutralized. Vextar could not believe what he was hearing. Human forces had somehow transported an invasion army across the galaxy and captured the Valenti homeworld while everyone was focused on the colony attacks. How? He whispered. As if hearing him, Somin's voice answered. Patience, Observer Morthus. We learned from our mistakes at New Busan. When humans commit to something, we see it through to the end. The battle reports continued for the next several hours, but the outcome was no longer in doubt. The Valenti Empire, one of the oldest and most powerful civilizations in the galaxy, was systematically dismantled by human forces that had appeared from nowhere and fought with impossible precision. Council Leader Thekvor, Admiral Donghyun said finally. The Valenti military has surrendered. Their government has been dissolved. We are implementing humanitarian aid for civilian populations and establishing temporary administration of former Valenti territories. What are your terms? Thekvor asked weakly. No terms, came the reply. This was not a negotiation. This was justice for 38,000 murdered humans. The communication channel went silent. Around the council chamber, delegates stared at their displays in shock. In less than 12 hours, humans had demonstrated military capabilities that exceeded every other species in the galaxy. Dr. Yelthari collapsed into his seat, his crystal form dim with defeat. We thought they were weak, he whispered. We thought they would be easy victims again. Vextar thought about his visits to human space, the careful training exercises, the medical preparations for mass casualties, the detailed intelligence gathering, the quiet, focused determination of people who had learned to transform suffering into strength. They were never weak, he said quietly. They were learning. As emergency sessions continued through the night, reports arrived detailing the scope of human planning. Sleeper agents positioned throughout Valenti space for 2 years. Detailed intelligence on every important target. Weapons designed specifically to exploit crystal technology weaknesses. Invasion forces pre-positioned and waiting for the activation signal. The humans had not just defeated their enemies. They had dissected them with surgical precision, removing only the parts that represented a threat while preserving everything else.